and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are taking a look at the new Winter Yeti. This is a paper piecing die that allows us to cut cardstock to create an image. We will start out by cutting out the solid images in this set. We have the Yeti, the scarf, the candy cane, and a star. We're going to be cutting these from some black cardstock, and this is going to become the base that we layer all of the paper piecing on top of. Now we can cut out the outline pieces. So we have the same 4 pieces with an outline, and we will use different colors of cardstock to get all the colors that we want for these images. So here we have all those pieces cut out, and they're just stuck on a full sticky post-it note so that we can keep all those pieces together. Now for our Yeti, we are going to do a little bit of Copic coloring on his horns, using some pink colors. But you could also cut these out of a color cardstock if you wanted, which we will do on one of the cards today. We're adding adhesive all over this solid background piece so that it can hold the frame and the pieces on the inside. The other thing you could do is cover this in double-sided adhesive, which you'll actually see me do in the second card today. Now for the outline of the Yeti himself, we've also cut that out of black cardstock. So we're just going to layer that outline on first. Then we'll move on to the white cardstock pieces here. And of course we have those little horns that we colored with Copic markers. So we're just going to drop those into those openings and piece those little horns into there. Then for the main body, we're using that white cardstock. So we will just layer the main part of the body inside the frame, and then we'll pull out the frame for his face from that black cardstock and drop that in the opening there. Next, for his face and his paws, we're using this blue cardstock. So we're just going to pick up those little paws or hands and drop those in the openings that the frame has created. And this is cut from some blue shimmer cardstock. And then we're going to do the same for his face. Now that we have his face, we want to give him some little teeth. The teeth are cut separate from the mouth, so you can take those little tiny white teeth there and drop those in right above the line of the mouth. And we're adding the white teeth, of course. And then for the rest of the mouth and the eyes, we're going to go back to our black cardstock here and drop those little eyes into place. And then finally, we need to do the same with the little mouth, and then he is all complete. And just look how cute he is all paper pieced together. We are going to add a little bit of rosy cheeks on either side of the mouth, which I just think is a really nice little touch. He's really cute, but he needs some accessories. So we're going to move on to the accessories in this die set. We're going to start with the scarf. We've cut the outline from black again so it matches the Yeti. And then we have the inside pieces cut from some pink cardstock. So we're just picking up each of those interior pieces of the scarf and dropping it into the frame, and you can see you get this cute little scarf for our Yeti to wear. Next we have the star, which just has the outside frame and then an inside piece. And then we have the candy cane. So this candy cane has the frame as well as the stripes inside. So we're going to layer that frame over, and then we have a white and a red. So if we pull off the frame, those little pieces are going to stay there, so we can easily pick them up and drop them into our candy cane. Just alternating between the white and the red so we get those fun candy cane stripes. Now that we have all his little accessories done, you can see how we can dress him up with his cute little scarf, and he can hold the items like the candy cane or the star in his paw. He also looks really cute without the scarf, holding those little items as well. Now let's make a card with the cute little Yeti that we created, and we're recreating a card by Audrey today. We're starting with the Starry Sky Backdrop Hot Foil Plate. We've put this onto our glimmer machine and we're heating it up. Once that timer button stops blinking, we're ready to do some foiling. We're going to put our foil down with the pretty side towards the plate, then layer on our cardstock, and then the plates that come with the glimmer machine system. Then we will run this through our die cut machine, pull off those plates, and then we can pull away the foil and we get this beautifully foiled background on that craft paper, and it is just so pretty. Next, we're going to trim this out with the largest of the outside in stitched rectangles, and we'll get this beautifully trimmed out background with that stitching detail all around it. Next, we have a piece of pixie dust glitter cardstock cut with that same stitch rectangle, and we're just going to cut a simple stitch hillside for the bottom, giving us a beautiful glittery snow hill for our Yeti to stand on. Next, we'll use some white cardstock and the birch trees die to create some white trees for our background. We'll just add these to this background panel with some adhesive tape runner. And this die cuts 3 different size trees, which makes a really fun background for a winter scene. Then we can add our snowy hill covering up the bottom of the trees. And this is really looking really nice. Then we have our Yeti, which we're going to add some foam adhesive to, so he's popped up off that background a little bit. And of course, we want to give him that warm scarf to keep him warm in this winter scene. Next, we're going to use the mini snowflakes dies and some pixie dust cardstock to cut a little snowflake for him to hold. I think it's fun to think about what other things he could hold other than just the star or the candy cane. Next, we're going to take a panel of Ballet Slipper cardstock that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 and add this whole panel to it, giving us that little pink border all around the edges. For our sentiment, we're going to use one of the fancy wavy banners. This is the one with the fun stitching detail. We're cutting that from some white cardstock, and then we're going to stamp our sentiment in some Hippo ink. So this is a gray ink, which goes really well with the colors of our card. The sentiment says Winter Wishes, and this comes from the Winter Wavy Saying stamp set. Then we can add some foam squares to the back of this wavy banner and just pop our sentiment right above our Yeti's head. Now, of course, we want to add this whole panel to a card base so that we have a place to write our fun messages and send this to our friends. And then here is our finished card. Thank you so much, Audrey, for letting us recreate your card today. I just think that this Winter Yeti is so cute in this winter wonderland. Next up, I'm going to create a Winter Yeti card using some different colors to create our Yeti. So I'm going to start out by cutting my solid pieces from a piece of narwhal cardstock. And for this, I'm actually going to add a piece of double-sided adhesive sheet to a piece of narwhal cardstock so that I have adhesive all over it before I even die cut. So I'm just trimming down a piece of that double-sided adhesive sheet, and then I'll peel off the liner paper and layer this onto my little piece of cardstock. And this piece will be big enough to cut all my pieces of my Yeti from. Now I am cutting all the pieces, although I did not actually use the candy cane in my finished card. So now that I have all those solid pieces cut out, and you can see that liner paper covers up that color of the cardstock, but we'll be peeling that off when we start to assemble, I can cut the other pieces of my cardstock. So I want the frame to also be that narwhal color, so I've cut the frame. But the body, I decided to use the dolphin cardstock, which is not a color I use very often, but I really like the look that this color gave with that narwhal frame. So I'll pull off the liner paper from my solid piece and layer that frame over top. Then I can take the body cut from that dolphin cardstock and layer that inside as well. So you kind of get that white Yeti, but he's not as bright white as it is with white cardstock. Then for the face, I'm going to put that frame of the face, and I cut the face from some Moonstone cardstock, so that really light blue color. I'm popping out all the pieces of his eyes and his mouth so I can put that face in there. And then I just use that same color for the horns as well as the hands. And sometimes I like to hold it and pop those pieces out so that I don't lose them. So I can line up the frame and just pop those pieces right into place. Now for the face, I did go with some darker colors. So I have the storm cloud cardstock, so it's still a gray, but it's much darker. And that's what I'm using for his eyes and his mouth. Then I'll go back to that little face up there that's cut from the dolphin and use that for his teeth. And then here is my cute little Yeti in just a different color scheme. Now for the scarf and the star, what I decided to do was use a darker color for the frame and a lighter color for the inside. So for the frame, I'm using some raspberry cardstock, and then I'm going to pop in the pieces on the inside, and they're cut from some guava cardstock. For the star, I'm doing the same thing. I'm using some #2 pencil cardstock for the frame of the star, and some sunflower cardstock for the inside piece. Next, I'm taking the Snow Flurries backdrop, and I'm going to cut this from some pixie dust cardstock. This is going to give me a beautiful glittery snowflake frame to go around my Yeti. For the background, I am pulling out some of the favorite flannel 12 by 12 papers, and I'm using this pretty blue color, and I'm cutting this to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Then I'll use some liquid glue to adhere down my glittery snowflake frame to my pattern paper. And to make sure it's adhered down well, I'm just adding little dots of glue to the outside tips of some of these snowflakes. Then I can flip this over and align it with my piece of pattern paper. And look how beautiful this snowflake frame is. Now I can add this whole panel to my card base. Now to get my little Yeti all dressed up and ready for the card, I'm just adding his scarf and the star in his hand with a little bit of liquid glue. Next, I'm going to work on the sentiment for my card, and I'm using the Offset Sayings Christmas stamp set to make a sentiment that says, "May your holidays be merry and bright." I'm stamping this in some black ink onto a piece of mermaid cardstock. And once I have this stamped down, I'm going to use a sentiment banner to trim it out. Now, of course, you can use this sentiment banner just as it is, but I wanted it to not cover up my snowflakes quite as much. So I decided that I wanted to trim off those fishtail ends and have a rectangular sentiment strip. And then since I stamped the open letters for my sentiment, I can just go in with a colored pencil and color those in. And I've chosen a pink color that matches the scarf of my Yeti. I just think that colored pencil on that colored cardstock is a really fun look. Now I can add some foam squares all over the back of my Yeti as well as my little sentiment. I'll just lay my sentiment down here towards the bottom just for some spacing and remove the liner paper off the foam squares on my Yeti, and then I can just pop him right onto the card. And I just think he is so cute. I love that his face kind of matches the color of the background. Then of course I can pop that sentiment on as well. And then I want to add a little bit of sparkle to my image and my sentiment to match the sparkle of the snowflakes. So I'm just using my Stardust stickles to add glitter to the star. And then I'm adding glitter to those letters that I colored in as well, which I think is a really fun look to add some sparkle to your sentiment. Finally, I wanted to kind of give him a fancy scarf, so I'm going in with my white gel pen and just adding some little polka dots to his scarf. It would also be a lot of fun to cut his scarf out of pattern paper as well. And then here is my finished card. I just love that Yeti in that dolphin paper, and I love that sparkly snowflake border around him as well. Now let's take a look at some cards from the design team. I love Marine's shaker card and how she paired Winter Yeti with the Jolly Christmas tree and the Winter Wonderland window cutout. I love that Grace added the Winter Yeti to a platform pop-up, and she used those cute little trees from Deck the Car. They are sized perfectly to go with our Winter Yeti. I love Yainea's card and the colors that she used, and I love that foil background that she created. And then here are some really fun tags by Tammy where she used the build a snow globe and added the little Winter Yeti inside. I love his little earmuffs that she added as well. Callie also paired Winter Yeti with the Jolly Christmas tree, and I really love the inking on her background. And then Melissa made a really fun tropical card. That Yeti is ready for some fun in the sun. I love how Letitia changed up the colors of her Yeti. I think the purple Yeti is just so adorable. And then Mindy's card is really classic with that wintry sky and those mountains in the background. And then here is a look at the card that Audrey created that inspired the card that we made today. And I just love that little heart that she added to the Yeti as well. And then here is a look at the card that I created in today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.